Attention, duelists. We are currently dealing with some minor technical difficulties, which were entirely audio based. This is my second time starting this video because my mic was just not picking up anything I was saying. And I realized that halfway through reading through the description of Odd Eyes Butler. So let's just do the recap of this pack real quick. I'll be reading out the new cards, doing the new opening of Battle Trajectory, seeing what's good, seeing why I think it's garbage, and giving you my opinions no matter what you want. Here we go again. Vaylant's Mad Marquis. It's Pendulum Monster. Its effect is if it's Pendulum Monster, you can move up to the zone in front of its Pendulum scale, and its other effect allows you to roll dice, excavate cards, add a card to your hand, shuffle the rest into the deck, and also if it is destroyed, you can roll a 6-sided die and special summon a monster from your spell and trap zone to a monster zone afterwards. I don't understand the Vaylant's gimmick. I don't think it's very good. I'm not impressed by these. I am upset that they were added to this game already when there were other things in Tactical Masters, which is the set that came out in the TCG, like the Labyrinths and the Runics that I do like and are good, but this came out first, so I'm being punished by Konami again for my beauty. Anyway, moving on. Unending Nightmare. You can pay 1,000 life points, start a face-up spell trap on the field, destroy it. You can use effect once per chain. Not once per turn, once per chain. So it can go off multiple times. However, it can only destroy face-up ones, so it's not super great, and you are paying 1,000 life points each. I'd rather just use a Duster or a Cosmic Cyclone, but that's just me, and I'm just the best. Perform Pal Burrow Karibo. 300 attack, 3,000 defense. Pendulum effect. During at start of the battle phase, you can add a, let's be real, Karibo to your hand, then destroy this card, and has the effect in hand of when a monster is destroyed. Oh yeah, hey Respawn Boy. That is a use that Eldritch could do. Hate that. It has the effect of being able to summon itself to the field after one of your monsters is destroyed by battle, but after it's attacked, it goes to attack mode. So it is arguably a better Big Shield Guard now, which is already a card that doesn't get played. Perform Pal Odd Eyes Butler. Once per turn, when opponent's monster closes an attack, you can add an Odd Eyes Pendulum monster from your graveyard to the extra deck. If you do, negate the attack, then gain life points equal to that Pendulum monster's attack. Not terrible. Monster effect. If this card is in your hand or graveyard, you can turn a Perform Pal or Odd Eyes monster you control, except Odd Eyes Butler, special summon this card, then destroy that card. You can only use this effect once per turn. Yeah, Beyond the Pend, I think is a good card. But we'll get to that. Should I open one? Valence Wars, the Palace of Beginning. Normal spell. Add one Valence field spell from your deck to your hand, then apply one of the following. 1. Destroy one Pendulum monster you control. If you do, add one Senate switch from your deck to your hand. Oh, Stonewall just do this. If this card is in your graveyard, except the turn it was sent there, you can banish it to place a face-up Valence Pendulum from your extra deck in your Pendulum zone. Known as each effect of Valence Wars, the place of beginning once per turn. Yeah, I think this pack has a lot of weird things. The Scareclaw Link 3 has my attention because it is a generic Link 3 that I think is strong in Pendulum decks. Or, not even Pendulum, just Link Monster decks. That's what I wanted to say. Two supers. Extra Pendulum, and another Unending Nightmare. Selena's a really good card in general, if you're using spells, which is especially prevalent in Pendulums. Extra Pendulum. Normal spell. During the main phase of this turn, you can conduct one Pendulum summon of a monster from your extra deck in addition to your Pendulum summon. You can only gain this effect once per turn. So you get a second Pendulum summon that's only summons from the extra deck. That's probably useful to someone. Yeah. Unending Nightmare we've already seen. Valence Voltage Viscount. During the main phase, you can special summon to a zone that Pendulum points to. That's the same effect. During your main phase, if you control this special summoned card, you can place one face-up Valence Pendulum monster from your extra deck face-up a spell and trap zone as a continuous spell. If this card in the monster zone moves to another monster zone, place one face-up Valence Pendulum monster from your extra deck in your Pendulum zone. You can only use the effect of Valence Voltage Viscount once per turn. Valence do not impress me. Nezuki, the Valence Ninja. If Valence World Shinra Bansho is in a field zone, or if you control a water Valence monster, you can special summon this artillery monster zone in its same column. So, Valence effect. Its monster effect is you can target one other monster in either main monster zone, move that monster to an adjacent monster zone. If this card in the monster zone moves to another monster zone, you can target one Valence monster card in your spell and trap zone to special summon it to your main monster zone in its same column. You use each effect of Valence Nezuki the Valence Ninja once per turn. Everything keeps having effects of move cards from columns, but doesn't tell me why that's useful yet. Ultra rares. Unfortunately, I'm being notified by the voice of God that I guess I have to move my car, and it's raining, so I'm about to have a bad time. I'll be right back. Enjoy the shiny colors. Sorry about that, everyone. I know you're gonna hear this because that's just what you do, voice of God. I think you're insane. Anyway, let them figure out what that means. Let's open this. My third ending nightmare. Hey, tryhard. Two of them. That's not bad. That's the card that had my attention. Sorry if I'm out of breath. It's raining. I was told to move my car further away from my house. I live up a flight of stairs. I'm not out of shape. Scareclaw Tryhard is a Link 3 Beast Warrior, 3000 attack, requiring 3 effect monsters. Must be Link summoned. All face-up monsters on the field are changed to defense position. This card is unaffected by the activate effects of defense position monsters. Once per turn, if this card is in the extra monster zone, and target one. Hate running in the rain. You can target one level 3 Scareclaw monster in your graveyard and special summon it. And if you do, add one Scareclaw monster from your deck to your hand. Also, you can't special monsters for the rest of the turn except Scareclaw monster. It's summoning a level 3 Scareclaw is Scareclaw stuff. This is just a good generic 3 for its own effect of changing cards to defense mode and being unaffected by their effects. Pendulum Treasure is not new, but I'll read it anyway. Add a Pendulum monster from your deck to your extra deck face up. You can only activate one Pendulum Treasure once per turn. Gonna move the mic back. That's in the right spot. Perform Pal, Duelist Extraordinaire. That's you, Yosakaki. Level 4, scale 8, 1800 attack, 400 defense. Pendulum effect. Once per turn at the start of the damage step, a monster battles a monster. You can return this card to the hand, and if you do, banish one spell from your deck. For that battle, your monster cannot be destroyed, and also the battle damage you take is halved. So that is playing off of the action spell mechanic of Arc 5. Its monster effect is, when this card inflicts damage to your opponent, you can add a Supreme King Dragon monster, Supreme King Gate monster, or Soul of the Supreme King from your deck to your hand. Once per turn, during the standby phase, activate this effect. Each player can banish one spell from their deck. Once per turn, when a monster declares an attack, activate this effect. The attacked player can apply the following effect. Add one of your banish spells to your hand, then discard it, and if you do, negate that attack. So everything about this is relating to the action spells from Arc 5. It's neat. That's all much I have to say about it, really. Weird that Vylons are in this. Scareclaw Arrival. Normal spell. Target one Scareclaw monster or Visa Starfrost in your graveyard. Special summon it in defense position. If a Scareclaw Link monster you control would be destroyed by battle or card effect, you can banish this card from your graveyard instead. You only use this effect of Scareclaw Arrival once per turn. Scareclaw Searcher, not bad. Searchers are always good. Hey, I got a Visas. Scareclaw Astra. Level 3, 0 attack, 1300 defense. You can special summon this card to your main monster zone, adjacent to a Scareclaw monster you control, or in its column. You can only special summon Scareclaw Astra once per turn this way. If your Scareclaw monster in the extra monster zones can attack a number of times each battle phase, up to the number of defense position Scareclaw monsters you control with different names. So I'd wager this is to make Scareclaw Tryhard stronger by giving it multiple attacks. Or just any Scareclaw link, which I think there's only one other. Scareclaw Slash. Continuous Trap. Once per turn, target one Scareclaw monster or Visa Starfrost you control. It can attack while in face-up defense position this turn. If it does, apply its attack or defense, whichever is higher, for damage calculation. When your opponent activates a card or effect while you control a Scareclaw monster in the extra monster zone, you can send this face-up card to the graveyard, negate that effect. You can only use this effect of Scareclaw Slash sorry, Scareclaw Splash once per turn. Ridiculous. The naming conventions, I should say. Visas Starfrost, level 6, Wind Warrior Tuner, 2100 attack, 1500 defense. If this card is in your hand, you can target one monster you control with a different type and attribute from this card, destroy that monster, and if you do, special summon this card. You can only use this effect of Visa Starfrost once per turn. When this card destroys an opponent's monster by battle, you can make this card gain attack equal to half of the original attack or defense of that monster, whichever is higher, your choice if tied. Has a way to self-summon, level 6 tuner, gain stats when it destroys a monster. Not terrible, but I don't think it warrants being an ultra. Another Place of Beginnings, Scion the Valence Archer. It has the Valence effect from the Pendulum Zone. I'm not going to read all that again, or each time. Monster effect. If you control this special summoned card, you can target one effect monster on the field, toss a coin. If the result is heads, negate its effects, or if the result is tails, have its attack. If this card in the monster zone moves to another monster zone, target one card in the field, toss a coin, and if it's heads, destroy it, or if it's tails, return it to the hand. You can only use each effect of Scion the Valence Archer once per turn. Now, this card has good effects. It has potential for either negation, stat halving, destruction, or bouncing. Not terrible. I feel like I skipped a card there. I'll go over it in the review. Palance. I'm making up words now. Place of Beginning. Valence Buster Baron. Valence effect for the Pendulum effect. Monster effect. If you control the special summon card, you can target one other Valence monster in the main monster zone, move that monster you control to an adjacent horizontal monster zone. If this card in the monster zone moves to another monster zone, you can target one card in either player's Pendulum zone, place it face up in its adjacent spell and trap zone as a continuous spell. You can only use each effect of Valence Buster Baron once per turn. So now we have an actual Valence mover. Still not impressed by them. Scareclaw Acro. Level 3, no attack, 2000 defense. You can special summon this card to your main monster zone adjacent to a Scareclaw you control, or in its column. You can only special summon Scareclaw Acro once per turn this way. Your Scareclaw monsters in the extra monster zone gain 300 attack for each defense position monster you control. So we're already seeing the gimmick of Scareclaws summon themselves in defense position to adjacent zones, and then provide effects. Pendulum Scale. Trap card. If you have 2 cards in your Pendulum Zone, apply the following effects based on the difference in the Pendulum Scales. 0. Destroy 2 spell and traps on the field. 1, 2, or 3. Add 1, level 2, 3, or 4 Pendulum monster from your deck to your hand. 4, 5, or 6. Add 1 level 5, 6, or 7 Pendulum monster from your deck to your hand. 7 or higher. Return 2 cards from your Pendulum Zones to the hand. Then you can special summon 1 Pendulum monster from your hand. You can only activate 1 Pendulum Scale per turn. Weird card. Don't think it's good. I think it is good if a Pendulum player is good at balancing their scales, but it's also a trap card. So maybe you could use it if it has the 7+ effect to dodge something by saving your Pendulum cards and then summoning something on your opponent's turn. But the other effects of just adding a card to your hand during your opponent's turn, I don't see as being super helpful. Valence, Dominator Duke. I like these alliteration names, but it's still Valence, and I'm unimpressed. Valence Pendulum effect, Monster effect. You can target one set card in the spell and trap zone. That set card cannot be activated this turn, even if this card leaves the field. If this card in the monster zone moves to another monster zone, you can target one face-up monster in your opponent's main monster zone, take control of that face-up monster, but it can't declare an attack nor activate its effects. Also, it's treated as a Valence. You can only use each effect of Valence Dominator Duke once per turn. This one I think has a neat effect if it's moved. Going back to your comment, Respawn, I think searching Astroref and Pinch would be nice if it weren't for the fact that I have full confidence in Pendulum players to get him in their hands on turn 1 anyway. So having a trap card to get him doesn't strike me as super helpful. Scareclaw Balone. Level 3, 0 attack, 1700 defense. Has the effect of summoning itself to a Scareclaw adjacent column or zone. And has the other effect of, if your Scareclaw monster in the extra monster zone attacks a defense position monster, inflict piercing battle damage to your opponent. Okay, so all the Scareclaws are absolutely designed to make try hard super dangerous. I guess optimizing at 3 different attacks per turn on monsters that are forced to defense position, and this gives piercing. Performer Pal, Odd Eyes, Valet. Pendulum effect. Once per turn, when an opponent's monster closes an attack, you can make that opponent's monster lose 300 attack for each face-up Pendulum monster in your extra deck. Not an amazing effect, but could be funny depending on how much you can get in your extra deck. Its monster effect is, if this card is normal or special summoned, you can send one Performer Pal or Odd Eyes monster from your deck to the graveyard, except this card, and if you do, this card's level becomes the same as that monster's until the end of the turn. You can only use this effect of Odd Eyes Valet once per turn. If this card in the monster is destroyed, you can place this card in your Pendulum zone. That is a fair response. The Maxi challenge is absolutely good to have an out to that in the form of Pendulum Summon. Pendulum Swing was the trap. This card, I'm going to say weird. I'd wager its level modulation is designed for the Odd Eyes Ritual monster. Weird. I'm unimpressed. Where was the card that I thought I missed? There you are. Performer Pal, Seal Eel. Bagooska's a good card. Seal Eel, Pendulum Effect. Once per turn, target one face-up monster your opponent controls. That face-up monster has an effect negated until the end of this turn, even if this card leaves the field. That's just a good effect. When this card is normal, monster effect. When this card is normal or special summoned, you can target one set spell and trap your opponent controls. That set card cannot be activated this turn. Neither player can activate cards or effects in response to this effect's activation. This is a good sealing off of opponent's cards before you start your plays card. Don't know how well it fits into actual Perform Pal decks, but it's a funny card. I like the funny Steel Eel. Alright. Let's open another tenner. No Ultra. Sad. Rarity bump. Let's see if it's real. Could be a fake out. They lied to me. Hojo, the Valence Warrior. If Valence World Shinra Bansho is in a field zone, or if you control a water Valence monster, you can special summon this card from your main monster zone, and it's special summon this card to your main monster zone in its same column. You can only use this effect once per turn. Its monster effect is you can target a face-up card in either spell or trap zone, return it to the hand. Not bad. If this card in the main monster zone moves to another monster zone, you can fusion summon one Valence Fusion monster from your extra deck using the monster from your hand, field, and or pendulum zones. You can only use each effect of Hojo, the Valence Warrior, once per turn. I like his spell trap bouncing. I don't care about the rest of him. I think Valence are bad. That is my early review of them, and from someone who has seen them in Tactical Masters. Got a second Burrow Karibo with a rarity bump, which means nothing. Again, nothing new. This is shaping up to be a real bummer tenner. Rarity bump fake out. Sure is, and no new cards even. There's something. Omega Judgment. Normal trap. Target a face-up monster card in your spell and trap zone, and 2 cards your opponent controls. Destroy them. This is Sword Soul Blackout for Pendulums. It says rarity bump, but the last 2 were fake outs. Show me the lies. Oh, hey, there's a card. And it's a card I already have. And another Unending Nightmare. No new cards, still. There's something. Valence Genesis Grand Duke. Level 10 Fusion Monster, Scale 10 Pendulum, 2500 by 2500. I have to scroll down to read its Pendulum effect, which I don't care for. You can activate one of these effects. Special summon this card to your main monster zone in its same column, or move a monster from your main monster zone to an adjacent monster zone. You can only use this effect once per turn. Its monster effect is, well, first off, its requirements are 2 Valence monsters. This face-down card in the extra deck must first be fusion summoned or special summoned by attributing 1 level 5 or higher non-fusion Valence monster in the same column as the extra monster zone. If this card is special summoned, you can target 1 monster card in your opponent's spell and trap zone, return it to the hand. And if you do, inflict damage equal to its attack, then this card gains attack equal to half the damage inflicted. Counter Pendulum effect? Weird. Don't like it. No new cards. No new cards again. Bad pack. Bad pack. Two supers. Will it be worth it? Oh, hey, it's a card that was grossly overpriced in Tactical Masters. Shinonome, the Valence Priestess. During the main phase, you can special summon this card from your main monster zone to the same column, blah, 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 and you can't special summon non-Valence monsters the rest of the turn, except from the extra deck. Monster effect. During the main phase, if you control this special summoned card, you can add a Valence spell from your deck to your hand. Not bad. If this card in the monster zone moves to another monster zone, you can add a Valence monster from your deck to your hand, except card by name. You can only use each effective Shinonome of the Valence Priestess once per turn. Not bad. She's a searcher. She's a Valence. She's bad. Look at this wretched pack. 6 supers, and they were all cards I already had. Well, 3 of them were already cards I already had. And already cards I'm unimpressed by. I did already get the card I actually wanted from this pack. Oh, these are not impressive. No new cards. Another Duelist Extraordinaire. A Curiblee. Curibubly. Curibubble. There's an Ultra. Is it worth it? Scareclaw Lightheart. Scareclaws are something I actually am interested in from this. Link 1 with 500 attack, requiring 1 Scareclaw or 1 Visas Starfrost. For this card's Link summon, you can only use monsters in your main monster zones as material. If this card is link summoned in the extra monster zone, you can add a primitive planet Reichphobia from your deck to your hand. If you control Visa Starfrost, you can special summon this card from your graveyard. You can only use this effect of Scareclaw Lightheart once per duel. Interesting. So it is a terraforming with very precise materials. It's only terraforming when summoned to the extra monster zone, and it has a once per duel summon itself back from the graveyard. Don't think that warrants being an ultra rare, all things considered. And probably only a one of in decks because of its once per duel effect. Another Grand Duke. Rarity bump that I assume is a fake out. No, I actually got one. Another Pendulum Treasure. Or like Pendulum Trash. Performapal Gentrude. Pendulum effect. If Performapal Lady Ange is in your other Pendulum zone and you control no monsters or only Pendulum monsters, you can add one Odd Eyes card from your deck to your hand. You can only use this effect of Gentrude once per turn. Its monster effect is, if this card is destroyed, you can place a Performapal Pendulum monster from your deck into your Pendulum zone, except Performapal Gentrude. If this card is face up in your extra deck, you can discard a Pendulum monster, add this card to your hand, then return one Performapal or Odd Eyes card from your Pendulum zone to the hand. You can only use one Performapal Gentrude effect per turn, and only once that turn. Might be a hot take about the Performapal archetype. I believe that this archetype is too damn big. There are too many cards that do too many things that have nothing to do with each other. Another Curry Bubble. There's an Ultra. Two Ultras. And they're all Valence. Means I'm losing interest. Valence World Shinra Bansho. Field spell. When this card is activated, place a Valence field spell from your deck face up in your opponent's field zone, except Valence World Shinra Bansho. If there are two cards in the field zones, the turn player can target one monster card in their own spell and trap zone. They special summon that card to their own monster zone in its same column. The turn player can only use this effect once per turn. Momonaka, the Valence United. Fusion monster, Pendulum effect scale 10, which is you can activate one of these effects, special summon this card to your main monster zone in its same column, or move one monster in your main monster zone to an adjacent monster column. Its requirements are for Fusion Summon are 3 Valence. Its monster effect is during the main phase, quick effect. You can target one effect monster in your opponent's main monster zone, place that opponent's monster face up as a continuous spell in their spell and trap zone in the same column. If the zone is occupied, destroy the occupying card, and if it is a monster card, your opponent loses life points equal to its attack. You can only use this effect of Momonaka, the Valence United, once per turn. If this special summon card you control is destroyed by your opponent's card effects, you can place this card in your Pendulum zone. I feel like I'm beating a dead horse if I say my stance on Valence again. This card half has my attention as an instant fusion target. Paticial Couverture, a level 5 fusion monster, Pendulum Scale 1. Its Pendulum effect is, if you have no card in your other Pendulum zone, you can place a face-up Pendulum monster from your extra deck in your Pendulum zone. You can only use this effect of Paticial Couverture once per turn. Its fusion requirements are 2 Pendulum monsters, and it has the effect of, if this card in the monster zone is destroyed, you can place this card in your Pendulum zone. So, instant fusion target to move itself there in anticipation of getting to turn 3, I guess. Also, I like the art. She's cute. Do me. Ultra rare pack. Show me Scareclaws. Another Shino Gnome. Psychic Wielder. Scareclaw Reichart. Thank you for answering my prayers. Scareclaw Reichart, level 4, 1500 by 2100, Warrior, Dark. Its effect is you can special summon this card from your hand to your main monster zone adjacent to a Scareclaw monster you control or in its column. You can only special summon Scareclaw Reichart once per turn this way. If this card is normal or special summon, you can add a Scareclaw spell trap from your deck to your hand. Then, if 3 or more defense position monsters are on the field, you can draw 1 card. You can only use this effect of Scareclaw Reichart once per turn. Not bad, able to summon itself like the other Scareclaws can. If it's summoned, you can add a Scareclaw spell trap, so it's a good searcher. And if 3 or more defense on the field, you can also draw a card. And there's no rule saying you can't summon this card in defense, so that makes it a bit easier with all the others already being summoned in defense. I think it's good. Summon self, search, draw. Decent body for a level 4. Yeah, this card might just warrant the ultra rare status. Let's keep going. 1 ultra. That I know of. And it's Surveillance. Open the next one. Scareclaw Rival and Balloon. Scareclaw Straddle. Quick play a spell. You can activate one of the following effects. Target a Scareclaw monster or Visa Starfrost in your monster zone, and one face-up monster your opponent controls. Your monster gains attack defense equal to your opponent's monster's attack or defense, whichever is higher. So that doesn't say until the end of the turn. That is a permanent stat boost. Its other effect is, when a card effect is activated that targets a Scareclaw monster or Visa Starfrost you control, negate that effect. You can only activate 1 Scareclaw Straddle per turn. So it's a Omni... So it's a target effect protection for Scareclaws or Visas. Or it's a permanent stat boost, and it's on quick effect. I like it. I believe its super rare status is earned. Nothing new. Nothing new. A super Scareclaw. Hey, what do you know? Another Scareclaw. Scareclaw Alternative. Normal trap. Tribute 3 Scareclaw monsters. For the rest of this turn, your opponent can only special summon monsters in defense position. So I believe that locks them out of doing link summons. During your turn, banish this card from your graveyard, inflict 100 damage to your opponent for each defense position monster on the field. You can only use this effect of Scareclaw Alternative once per turn. The second effect is nothing. At most, you're dealing 1,000 damage, which is absolutely high rolling, both players having 5 monsters in the main monster zones. The Tribute 3 Scareclaws, for the rest of the turn, you can only special monsters in defense position. I think it's probably easier in Scareclaw to get out Tryheart than resolve this card. So I'm going to say this card is not deserving of super rare status. Nothing new. Nothing new again. Seems like Big Papa Konami noticed I was dissing their Valence and they decided to nerf my rolls. Rarity bumps up to rare on not important cards. Oh, hey, Secret Ultra. Show me Scareclaw. Thank you. The Lightheart. I've already stated that I think you only need to run one, so I guess two is just insurance for if the first one you bring out gets blown up or negated on summon. Actually, no, that's right. You can only use monsters in the main monster zone to make it. Scareclaws and Nightmares might be the way I go. I do need more Visa Starfrost. There we go. Now we're talking. 3 Ultras. Pendulum Treasure. Don't care. Show me the money. Oh yeah, here's the outlier. Musical Sumo Dice Games, a rank 6 XZ's monster. 600 attack, 3000 defense. Requires 2 level 6s, Machine XZ's effect. At the start of your opponent's battle phase, if this card is in the main monster zone, roll a 6-sided die and move this card directly to that many main monster zones clockwise. And if a monster is already in that zone it moves to, attach that monster to this card as material. Transfer its materials to this card, if possible. If this effect causes this monster's number of materials to exceed 6, you win the duel. If this card cannot be moved, or the monsters in the zone it moves to cannot be attached, send this card to the graveyard. Wait a second. Does it pick up every monster along the way, or does it only pick up the one it lands on? And it just says main monster zones. That doesn't guarantee it moves to yours, because could it move to your opponent's? This is a weird card that testing it, I don't know is worth it being an Ultra. It is a unique win condition. And it only causes you to win if its own effect makes its materials exceed 6. But there are probably other ways you can attach more materials to it to help boost your numbers. Otherwise, you are praying that you can stack the right number of Xyz stuff in the spots. Not impossible, but tricky. No, this has to stay on your side of the field. Otherwise, it would allow your opponent to have an extra win condition. Weird. Weird card. Weird and strange. Might make a gimmick out of it. If I somehow get another one. Because I'm not crafting that. Nothing new. Ultra. Got another valet. And another thing I don't want. Why do you wound me, Konami? Show me the claws. That's technically a claw. Another valet and my second Starfrost. Oh hey, Secret Ultra. And it's another Shinra Bansho. It's dust in waiting. Another Scareclaw Skalash. I hate that name. Feels wrong to say it. Skalash. Or should I be calling it S-Clash? Who knows? That'll make pronunciation guides in Yu-Gi-Oh! Secret Super. Another Pendulum Treasure. That's like my 8th one. Another Valet. Oh, I was wrong. It's my 7th Pendulum Treasure. And I now have 3 of that fusion. I have 2 Shinra Bansho. Looking like I'm going to be taking stuff apart to craft the Scareclaws. But for now... Ooh, that doesn't look great. Thinking... I'm actually going to hit skip on these ones to save off on me just saying nothing new. Because out of all this, it looks like there is one new card that I got. For former pal, Lady Ange. Pendulum monster, scale of 1. Pendulum effect. Once per turn, when attack is declared involving your opponent's monster, your monster and an opponent's monster, you can discard a pendulum monster. That opponent's monster loses 1,000 attack until the end of the turn. Its monster effect is you can discard this card and one Perform Pal monster, except this card by name, draw 2 cards. If this card is in your graveyard and you control an Odd Eyes card or Perform Pal Gentrude, you can place this card in your Pendulum Zone. You can only use one Perform Pal Lady Ange effect per turn and only once that turn. I think this card is not terrible. It is a Pot of Greed for pitching 2. It can bring itself back to the Pendulum Zone for using its Pendulum effect. Presumably, so you can go for a big Odd Eye swing by dropping your opponent's monster stats. Not during the same turn, though, because it is you can only use one Lady Ange effect per turn. I think this card is okay. And I got no Ultras, so here we go on my last tenor. No, I'm going to skip. Okay. Did get some new cards, actually. I got my second Sumo Dice games, so I might make that gimmick. I'll work up in order of things I care about. Valence World Koenig Wissen. Field Spell. When this card is activated, place a Valence Field Spell from your deck face up in your opponent's field zone, except this card by name. If there are 2 cards in the field zones, the turn player can target one effect monster in the opponent's main monster zone in the same column as one of the monsters they control. They place that opponent's monster face up as a continuous spell in their spell and trap zones in its same column. If the zone is occupied, destroy the occupying card. The turn player can only use its effective Valence World Koenig Wissen once per turn. I feel like the Valence Field spells are just going to be annoying rather than good. Odd Eyes Pendulum Graph Dragon. It is a level 7 ritual monster. Pendulum effect. During the end phase, you can add one ritual spell from your deck or graveyard to your hand. Then return this card to the hand. You can only use this effect of Odd Eyes Pendulum Graph Dragon once per turn. Its monster effect is you can ritual summon this card with Odd Eyes Advent. Must be either ritual summoned or pendulum summoned from your hand. Each time your opponent special summons a monster from the extra deck, inflict 300 damage to them. So it's Baby Masquerade. Once per turn, when your opponent activates a spell card or quick effect, spell card or effect, quick effect, place this card in your Pendulum Zone, and if you do, negate that effect. Then, if you place this ritual summon card in the Pendulum Zone, you can special summon an Odd Eyes monster from your extra deck. Spell negation, light burning. This card's okay, does not warrant being an Ultra. Primitive Planet Reichphobia. Field spell. When this card is activated, you can add one Scareclaw monster or Visa Starfrost from your deck to your hand. Monsters your opponent controls lose 100 attack and defense for each defense monster on the field. If 3 or more defense monsters are on the field, you can target one card your opponent controls, destroy it. You can only use this effect of Primitive Planet Reichphobia once per turn. You can only activate one Primitive Planet Reichphobia per turn. Neat. Glad I got one. I'm interested in making a Scareclaw deck. Let's look at the cards I did not get. And let's just play this off of Eyes. I already have a Zark, so I don't care about that. Beyond the Pendulum. She should have been the cover card for this pack. She is a Scale 2 Pendulum monster, 1200 attack, requiring 2 effect monsters, including a Pendulum monster. If this card is link summoned in the extra monster zone, you can pay 1200 life points, add a Pendulum monster from your deck to your hand, but for the rest of this turn, unless you Pendulum summon after this effect resolves, you cannot activate monster effects, and the effects of any cards in your Pendulum zones are negated. If 2 monsters with different original levels are Pendulum summoned at the same time to the zones this card points to, you can target 2 cards on the field, destroy them. You can only use this effect of Beyond the Pendulum once per turn. Neat card. Strong for Pendulums. Good. Soul of the Supreme King. Pay half your life points. Special summon 1 Supreme King Zark from your extra deck, ignoring its summoning conditions, but negate its effects. It is returned to the extra deck during the end phase of the next turn. When your opponent activates a spell card or effect, you can banish this card from your graveyard, and 1 Supreme King Zark from your face-up monster zone, special summon up to 1 each Pendulum Dragon, Xyz Dragon, Synchro Dragon, and Fusion Dragon monsters from your hand, deck, extra deck, and or graveyard. That's why this card is better. So you're hoping that you go first, set this card, your opponent starts their turn, activate it, bring out Zark, hope your opponent activates a spell, do the thing, summon the bunch of Pendulum Dragons, and hope that they can help out with the rest of whatever you're doing. Downside. That would require you to have 4 open monster slots. So, if you've built up any kind of board, special summon up to 1 each, so you could limit that. Probably summoning out the Synchro Dragon is the best one, because that one has negations. Maybe Venom Fusion Dragon for blowing up the board just in case. This card is weird, and I will give it a rating of okay. Perform Pal, Classic Haribo. When opponent's monster declares a direct attack, this card is destroyed. Wow, that is just a mean pendulum effect. To scale 8. Its monster effect is if this card is destroyed by its own pendulum effect, end the battle phase. You can only use each of the following effects that Perform Pal, Classic Haribo once per turn. You can discard this card, target 1 card in your pendulum zone, its pendulum scale becomes 1 until the end of the turn. When you pick Battle Damage while this card is in your graveyard, you can place this card in your pendulum zone. So, it's okay. It's weird and okay, which is a strange combination to be. Other than that, I think that's gonna be it for Battle Trajectory. My final review of Battle Trajectory. I don't think they should have made the Valence as much as they are. I'm glad for anyone who is interested in Valence. I'm thankful they made 2 of your cards URs, because it increases the chance of other cards that I want not being that. On the other hand, Scareclaws have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ultra rares from this set. 5 ultra rares, 2 supers, and the rest are all whatevers, but that is a little rough. I don't know if Sumo Dice Games warrants being an ultra. I don't think this set was as bad about reprinting or adding fillers in the form of other super rares, so in that instance, I think it's okay. Overall, I'd say this is an okay pack. I was into it for the Scareclaws. I got most of what I wanted. The rest I can craft from taking apart other stuff. If you're interested in this, I say go for it. Seems worth it to me. But what do I know? I'm just a guy talking to you from beyond the internet. I don't know what that bit is supposed to be, but I think it's a sign that I've gone totally crazy. Locked away in this survival bunker at the center of the earth. Yeah. That's going to be the end of this video. If you caught the stream, thanks for watching. If you catch the replay, thanks for that too. And good luck on your pack openings. Goodbye.